And the rest of this story is very much still unfolding for me. But one thing has become very clear, and that is that God stripped everything away and brought me to the, like, literally to the brink, to the very edge of my limits, to neutralize my relationship with money. Like, that is like where I had gotten to. I don't even, surrender isn't even a strong enough word for what I experienced. Like, this place that I got to in these recent months of just, it was like, I don't know how there, like I said, there's not a good word for it. All I can tell you is I got to the deepest level of surrender that I've ever been at. I got to where it was like, all right, God, like, you're just going to have to keep driving the car, and I'm just going to sit here, like, because I'm not even qualified to look at the map and tell us where to turn at this point. I just have to, like, roll with this the best I can. So, and like I said, I realize now that some of that was because of me too, because of my resistance to this whole process. And it was a matter of, I reached that level of surrender to where he could finally intervene, to where I was finally willing to be like, to fully, completely surrender to him, and let him figure it out and take care of all of it. So it was this reset, and it was so much deeper than just being a reset. All of that money that I had saved over the course of my 20-year career, and all the things that I accrued over these past decades, material things, relationships, even clothes, I mean, everything was created from a version of me that no longer exists. That version of me is gone. And it was also a version of me that was driven more by my flesh and the world, right? Which a lot of us are. That's part of this journey of life, right? That we're, part of why we're here is to shift from that, kind of flesh driven way of being into tuning into our spirit more, and allowing ourselves to be led more by our spirit. And that is a process. So the other aspects of that was that I had money on a pedestal. I didn't really realize that. I didn't even really think I thought that much about money, but in many respects, it was like it was on this pedestal. I had a lot of false values attached to it. And so, like, and a lot of us do, right? Like, if you think about two different amounts of money, right? We have a very different feeling and a very different belief and a very different value attributed to, say, like $3,000 versus, say, $3 million, right? But really, they're just two different numbers with different zeros behind them. They're neutral because they're energy, but that's a whole other thing. So, that was part of it, was kind of getting to this place of where it was all being neutralized. And I had to shift from being so driven about the flesh and the world and all these beliefs that I had about money and the values I had attached to money, that to get to where I could see money for what it truly is, which is a resource that's available to us in abundance from the source of all that there was, is, and ever will be, God, right? It all comes from God. So in that respect, it's infinite. And infinite amounts are available to us. It's a matter of tapping into that spiritual side of it and the connection with God and all of that. And that's a whole other topic as well. And this is still very much something I'm moving through and learning at this point in time. So I've spent over 2 years doing all of this work. I'm still doing the work, but I do know in my spirit that I've completed sort of the hardest part of this climb, at least with respect to this part of my path. There's nothing left for me to process or examine or heal, at least not at this level of intensity of what I've just come through, and that I've experienced over these past 2 years. And I now understand that I had to go through all of this in order to be able to really neutralize my relationship with money. And I had to neutralize my relationship with money in order to head into where I'm heading now. And I think no matter who it is, when you're going for certain, big goals, and you've made this decision to take a leap of faith toward those big dreams and those things you really want for yourself, you're going to have to go through something like this. And that's because of all of these different feelings, beliefs, stories that we have around money. Money, specifically our mindset around money, is a huge part of our inner healing. of inner healing work in general. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it. And especially like if you're in the midst of doing this work or you've been doing this work, like you understand why that is. But if you're kind of at the beginning of it, it might not be as clear yet. But money is a huge part of our lives, obviously, right? We can't live without it. You have to have money to, be able to have a place to live and to buy food and all that stuff. Yet many of us don't really have the greatest relationship with money. And our relationship with money affects when and how God will bless us. And it's not because God is like stepping back, like, I'm not going to give you this until you get it together, kind of a thing. It's more like he knows that without addressing these underlying things and doing this deeper work, we won't hold on to that blessing. We won't be able to hold on to the abundance because the same stuff that's keeping us from it is still there. And until we address it and clear it and alchemize it, then it it won't change. So we have to get to a place where we're prepared for it. And again, that has to do with our conditioning around money and our conditioning around people who have money and beliefs around money. I mean, you listen to the way we hear people talk about money and some of these things. It's just, it becomes more evident when you really start to pay attention to it. So some examples, right? Beliefs about money, like a lack mentality. A lot of us have lack mentality. I know I did for a long time. I'm neutralized, like, so I'm in this like reset space where I'm kind of like, I don't know what you call it. I've neutralized the lack mentality. Let's put it that way. But it takes a lot. It took a lot for me anyway to get there. It might not take that much for everybody, but that was one thing I've learned from all this. A lot of us might view money negatively so that we're afraid of it, right? We think it's evil. We think it's bad. We think it's wrong.